What's up everyone, welcome back to a brand new video. So I was kinda debating whether or not to do this one. I have done outlandish scenarios before, but this one is a little too fanfiction-y for my taste. And I'm honestly not too sure how to feel about it. But people keep asking me to do this one and I'm pretty surprised at how popular it is. So I've decided that I am going to do it, and I think I found a good way to make it work. Something that isn't too crazy, but still fits the scenario idea. As you can tell by the title, we'll be looking at what may have happened if Vegeta actually turned out to be the legendary Super Saiyan. So buckle up, because even though I did make things more realistic, it still is kind of crazy. But to be fair, I have done some crazier things. For this video, let's hit a like goal of 3,000 likes, and if we hit that, I'll turn this into a full series. For now, this will be a one-off, but if there's enough interest, I'll make it into a full scenario. Anyways, let's begin. So this scenario wouldn't just affect stuff later on, it would change Vegeta as a whole, including his entire history. So we're gonna rewind really far back. As a kid, King Vegeta notices that his son's power is great. Actually, too great. It's concerning at some points. He definitely shows some amazing potential, but it seems like he has outbursts of anger at points that make him really strong and uncontrollable. This is a source of pride for King Vegeta, but also a source of concern. Sure, his son being this strong is great, but if he gets too strong and too berserk, what would happen then? It would result in Vegeta killing everyone around him, destroying the planet, and destroying himself in the process. As a baby in his incubation pod, King Vegeta watches this. It's kinda odd too, he recently just sent a kid away that had the same issue. Paragus' son Broly had a similar predicament. Ultimately, to keep the planet safe, he sent Broly away, but he doesn't really want to do the same for Vegeta. Having the same fate as that other Saiyan would be terrible. And King Vegeta actually kinda regrets sending that kid away, but whatever, what's been done is done. We'll obviously see Broly way later down the line, but he's not important now besides that anecdote that I just gave. Once Vegeta's actually out and about from his incubation chamber, King Vegeta and his soldiers keep a close eye on him. Vegeta ends up being one of the first Saiyans to go into some sort of anger management. It's a weird adjustment, but it kinda works. When angered, they notice that Vegeta as a kid would get very strong, and somewhat uncontrollable, but thankfully a lot of the other soldiers were still stronger so they could stop this from becoming a big outburst. After observing this, they got to the source of the problem. Since then, Vegeta's learned to control it, and is actually somewhat cool-headed. Of course, he does get angry and passionate like Saiyans do at some points, but to a normal degree. He never has crazy outbursts like before. Even when Planet Vegeta is destroyed, Nappa and Raditz are worried to see what might happen to him, but he actually takes it pretty well. Overall, Vegeta's pretty much characterized the same way that he was originally, but there is one issue for him though. There's one specific thing that does trigger his anger, that being Frieza. Thankfully, Vegeta is still able to control it pretty well, and feign his alliance with Frieza. But as the guy basically looking over Vegeta, Nappa still has this concern that later on, this may be an issue for him. Vegeta can maintain his anger now, but what if Frieza does something terrible that causes Vegeta to have an outburst? Only time will tell for now. Let's fast forward a bit, going to the Saiyan saga. Much of it goes normal, and there's not really much to cover here, but there is one thing that I do want to note. Vegeta would definitely be controlling himself enough, but at a specific point he would certainly get angry, almost enough to go berserk. After being constantly bested by Goku and having his Gallic Gun not work on Earth, he gets progressively more angry. This concerns Goku, Krillin, and Gohan, the only people there noticing that he's getting a lot stronger somehow. Vegeta is infuriated by the fact that his Great Ape tactic didn't work. When fighting Gohan, he gets progressively angrier, and he's actually about to have one of those outbursts of power. It gets Goku and Krillin very concerned, but thankfully, the Spirit Bomb is able to stop him. He keeps getting angrier and angrier, but he's been weakened and attacked so much by this point that it can't do much. And once Gohan actually turns into a Great Ape, that seals the deal. Vegeta is defeated and goes off Earth like normal, and everyone actually got a taste of his power. It's actually scary. Sure, he was strong at first, but once he got angrier and angrier, they noticed his power was increasing. And what's worse is Goku let him walk free. They can only imagine the kind of things that monster is capable of once he gets angry. After being healed, Vegeta gets a great boost in power. But even with that, the first few parts of the Namek arc will go pretty normally. Things start changing once Vegeta teams up with Krillin and Gohan though. For example, the point where Krillin attacks Vegeta to make him stronger. Once he's healed by Dende, he gets exponentially more powerful, and is actually a good match for Frieza. But Frieza is still holding back, as is Vegeta with his anger. Part of the reason Vegeta isn't too angry right now is because he's been conditioned to hold back this anger, and he does feel a little bit confident right now. But that's all going to change very, very soon. Fast forward a bit, to the point where Vegeta's beat down by Frieza once he's in his final form. No matter what he does, Vegeta can't fight back, and progressively, that anger comes to creep up more and more. Naturally, Frieza does make him angry. He's the trigger for Vegeta's anger, kinda in the way that Kakarot was the trigger for Broly's anger in the original Z movies. And now that Vegeta's being beaten, this ferocity grows. Frieza's not only gained power over him, but he's toying with him. Frieza keeps playing with Vegeta. But as he keeps doing it, he progressively begins to notice that his attacks aren't doing as much to Vegeta as they did before. Piccolo, Krillin, and Gohan are watching too, and they sense something terrifying. That same anger Vegeta showed on Earth is powering him up right now. His ki is slowly but steadily rising, and as Frieza keeps messing with him, it gets stronger and stronger, more ferocious by the minute. Frieza's confused as well, as an intense aura suddenly surrounds Vegeta. It actually amuses Frieza a bit. This monkey still has some fight left in him. He chuckles and throws a punch towards Vegeta. And surprisingly, Vegeta catches it with his hand, gripping Frieza's. Frieza chuckles some more and tries to pull his hand back. But Vegeta's grip is tightening. His aura keeps growing, and Frieza's hand hurts more and more, up until the point where it's completely crushed by Vegeta. Vegeta begins screaming. His hair has a bluish tint to it, and he's surrounded by a green glow. No one knows what's happening. A crater forms around him and Frieza, and as he powers up, Frieza is flung back. Piccolo, Gohan, and Krillin watch in awe. Green energy surges around Vegeta as he grows stronger. After a blinding flash of light, a new Vegeta is revealed. Frieza looks on in absolute terror. There's no way. He can't believe his eyes right now. This must be a bad dream. Vegeta has bulked up considerably. His eyes are completely blank, and most noticeable of all, his hair is no longer black. It has a greenish hue to it. And not from the aura itself. His hair is actually green. Vegeta's anger has finally surpassed a point of suppression, no longer able to be contained. And it's all Frieza's fault. Now Vegeta shows off his true potential, transforming into the legendary Super Saiyan. Capital L in legendary. He's gone berserk against Frieza, and Frieza doesn't really know what to expect, but he still remains cocky and confident. All until Vegeta then suddenly lunges towards him, hitting him right in the stomach. He didn't hold back at all. Frieza is launched far away at speeds faster than they can even see. Before Frieza even collides with anything, Vegeta appears behind him once more, slamming Frieza down into the ground. Frieza gets up, trying to let out some more of his power, but Vegeta prevents any opportunity of Frieza powering up. He keeps attacking, beating Frieza senseless. But at the same time, there is a glimmer of hope. After all the time spent healing, Goku's finally awake. Sensing this powerful fight going on, he decides to go towards his group instead. Needing a quick rundown before he does anything, Piccolo tells him everything. Vegeta's anger reared its head once again, and now he's fighting Frieza in some brand new transformation. And it's not even a contest. He's completely beating Frieza and he seems berserk. And the thing is, even if Vegeta kills Frieza, they don't know what Vegeta's next move is. He may come after them. He seems unreasonable right now. Goku's obviously concerned, but he gets an idea. He doesn't want to fight Vegeta head on. He knows that's not a great plan, but instead, he has something up his sleeve. He remembers last time on Earth, the Spirit Bomb worked to quell Vegeta's anger, dealing a considerable amount of damage and stopping him. He'll definitely need a lot more power this time, but as long as he can charge it, they'll be okay. Thankfully, Frieza's distracting Vegeta right now, so Goku has more than enough time to begin charging the attack. He lifts his hands up, gathering energy from around the planet and planets nearby. Meanwhile, between Vegeta and Frieza, Frieza has absolutely no chance. Even in the off chance that he does get a hit in, it does nothing to Vegeta. Vegeta's enjoying himself here. Despite being berserk, he's obviously still aware of who he's fighting and what he's doing. But inevitably, he does end up killing Frieza, savoring the moment. Everyone senses this, concerned because the Spirit Bomb still isn't fully charged yet. They don't want Vegeta coming towards Goku either, so instead, Piccolo and Krillin fly across the planet, going to find Vegeta and facing him themselves. Obviously they can't fight him head on, but instead they're going to play defensively, trying to avoid his attacks and hiding from him. He isn't thinking clearly, so while they can't fight him head on, they can strategically do this. And it'll be enough to distract him so he won't go towards Goku. Vegeta notices them flying over, and suddenly they pivot, splitting up from each other instead of flying directly towards Vegeta. Vegeta looks around, first chasing Krillin. And as he chases Krillin, he's suddenly hit from something by behind. It doesn't do too much damage to him, but it's noticeable. And he looks back to see Piccolo pointing towards him, having just launched a Makanko Sappo. Fun fact, I think that's the first time I said that word out loud, and I actually didn't completely butcher it, so yay for me. Anywho, Vegeta then attacks Piccolo, who splits himself into 3 clones. All these clones fly all over the planet. Vegeta can't chase all of them at once. He launches an attack towards one of them, and it's destroyed, but it turns out it was a mere illusion. He doesn't know where the other 2 went, but one of them is nearby taunting him. He goes towards that, and once again, it disappears. And from behind, he's injured, hit by a Kienzan from Krillin. It's a direct hit, but because Vegeta's so strong at this point, and he was kinda on guard, it only left a cut on Vegeta. But still, that's more than enough for Krillin. Vegeta turns around looking right at Krillin, launching towards him as he's then blinded by Krillin. And all this time, Goku has still been charging his attack. Gohan's with him because Goku's worried about his safety, and he lends Goku some energy. Goku has way more time to charge the attack here. Vegeta's nowhere near him and probably not even aware that Goku's back. And since he realizes the threat, King Kai decides to help too. Contacting some Earthlings, he's able to get some energy from them. Although it's not many people, Some of those on Earth such as Roshi, Kami, Yajirobe, Chi-Chi, those characters all give energy towards Goku. After hearing about the threat and being convinced to lend energy, all the planets around Namek give theirs too, and the bomb grows larger and larger. It's bigger than it originally was against Frieza due to the time it had to charge. And telepathically, Goku communicates with Krillin and Piccolo. They're hiding from Vegeta right now, and they lift their hands up giving some energy too. The two of them each create clones of each other as they rush towards Goku. All the clones all jump out at once, confusing Vegeta as he chases them. Piccolo and Krillin are able to escape, and then suddenly, all the clones turn around heading in the same direction. Vegeta is led right towards the Spirit Bomb, as Piccolo and Krillin fly underwater for shelter, and so they won't be noticed by Vegeta. Goku launches the bomb, and over the horizon, Vegeta sees something terrifying. A giant ball of energy is flying towards him. The clones are swallowed by it, disappearing instantly. And since Vegeta didn't even expect it, and at the speed that he was flying as well as the speed that the Spirit Bomb was flying, he actually flies right into it. He's barely able to brace himself for impact, but still, that's not enough. He tries to resist, but he can't. It's a direct hit, and the energy is all channeled into Vegeta. A giant crater is formed, and they can no longer sense Vegeta's energy. Blue particles of energy fall from the sky, alongside an unconscious Vegeta that is now back in his base form. Heavily injured with his clothes destroyed, he falls into a crater below that is then filled by the water around it. Sensing this, Piccolo and Krillin both come up from underwater, realizing it's safe now. Goku and Gohan meet up with them. They sense around and they can't feel Vegeta's energy anymore. And just to be sure, even though King Kai told them that Frieza died earlier, they look around and can't find his either. And in that crater nearby, they notice Vegeta there. Somehow he miraculously survived. The group goes over to him, cautiously looking on. They can't tell if he's dead or not, but they slowly get closer and realize that he's actually alive, although unconscious. Krillin knew that he should have killed him before on Earth. That was way too close of a call. He charges a Kienzan quickly, but just before he throws it towards Vegeta, Goku steps in front of him. The two argue as Goku pleads for him to spare Vegeta, and Piccolo actually steps in and agrees too. Vegeta did help them, and it seems that he just couldn't control his power. Sure, he's dangerous, but he wasn't willingly trying to hurt everyone. He seemed to have some sort of control over it before. It was probably just Frieza that drew out this anger. Not to mention, he did actually help them against Frieza. This fight would have gone way differently if Vegeta wasn't there. Krillin's a bit angry, but Goku tells Krillin to trust him, pleading for his best friend to stop. Reluctantly, Krillin stops charging the attack. The Kienzan dissipates. But what did they do now? First of all, Guru is revived as well as the Namekians. Porunga actually ends up returning too, so they use a wish to revive Yamcha. Ten and Chaozu will come back later on, and after those 3 months have passed, they'll also be moving their planet somewhere else. Vegeta remains unconscious, but the group meets up with Bulma once more. In this time, they've been able to take the healing pod off of one of Frieza's ships and put it in their ship. The group watches reluctantly as Goku places Vegeta in the healing pod, showing that same courtesy that Vegeta did show before. Piccolo has faith in Goku, but Krillin isn't too sure about this. They're gonna bring him back to Earth. The Namekians thank everyone as they go back home. On the way back, Vegeta's consciousness returns. He gets a massive Zenkai from this too, probably placing him above Goku by a decent margin. He kinda has some recollection of what happened, but doesn't really remember too much, and they all explain to him. And after all that, he's actually surprised that they let him live. And although they're not necessarily on the greatest terms, Vegeta decides it's probably best to tell them about what happened. They ask what it was and he explains. As a kid, he had an incredible amount of untapped power and all this anger, but he didn't know how to control it before. He's been suppressing it for so long, pretty much his entire life. And against Frieza, it inevitably exploded. But he's never experienced something like this before. Whatever this transformation was, it must have been the Super Saiyan or something. Or at least some sort of variation of it. He remembers hearing that the Super Saiyan was possibly righteous, but that wasn't righteous at all. It was purely malicious. And Vegeta himself is even terrified by that power. He's just as concerned as the others, although it's more of a selfish concern. It's just as his father said before, if his anger exploded once more, he probably could have destroyed himself. And if he did end up destroying the planet, he probably would have died regardless. When he was berserk, he does recall his energy soaring, and it did take a toll on his body, as if he was about to explode from it. So, it's a good thing for him and everyone else that they stopped him. But Vegeta now has to struggle with this. What was that power that he showed, and is there any way to control it? He'll have to live with the fact that this may happen again, and he doesn't know if it could be suppressed. Everyone feels the same. Goku decides he'll help Vegeta, as well as Bulma. She's actually kinda interested in this in a scientific way. Piccolo is willing to give him a chance, as well as Gohan, but for Krillin, he doesn't know. He's very wary of Vegeta, just as everyone was before. Everyone else is, but Krillin is definitely the most cautious. Well, besides one person. The one that's most suspicious of Vegeta is himself. He knew this was inevitable, and while he doesn't completely express it, he's scared. The ship lands on Earth, and now Vegeta will have to get adjusted to life here, trying to figure out a way to control this anger, quelling it once more. Was his father right that he's an uncontrollable monster? Or is there a way to actually suppress this? Only time will tell, and he'll have to struggle with this in the future parts. But for now, we'll be leaving off here. So, what did you guys think about this scenario? Do you think Vegeta will find a way to control his anger, and will everyone else benefit around him? How do you think the next part will go? And what else do you think will happen following this? Leave your thoughts and suggestions in the comments below. I'll be sure to check them out to see what you guys think. As always, if you liked the video, be sure to drop a like, and let's try to hit that like goal from before so we can get another part to the series. If you haven't already, why not subscribe, as well as hitting the bell icon to get notified about any future parts of this What If, or any other videos that I upload on my channel. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you all in my next video.